Okay, I'm playing Super Mario Ball on Game Boy Advanced. So this is a pinball game, and I actually haven't played this before. Watching the introduction here, I think the only pinball game I'd ever played was Sonic Spinball, which was on the Game Gear, and I actually haven't played any Game Gear games in a while, so I'll probably have to visit those. But it looks like Mario has your typical kind of setup. You've got the baddies, castles, the Goombas. Alright, so they turn into a ball, and then there we go. So it's pretty forgiving. It doesn't actually let you. It doesn't let you fall. Oh, that's kind of cool. I'm gonna go. I don't like. I really don't like desert levels at all. Let's try this ice one. That's kind of cool. Okay, so it. I was gonna say earlier, it's pretty forgiving because you don't fall when you don't actually fall off the stage when you hit the bottom. So like if you don't swing correctly, so obviously I'm missing quite a bit, and I'm still not getting thrown into the abyss like a typical pinball game. And they've got a little bit of a N64 vibe to this. So like Mario 64. So they've got the the thing's gone now. So it looks like the challenge just went up. Oh yep. See, you can die now. So the intro has like the same music that you would hear on Mario 64. So I didn't capture that. But okay, let's see. Let's go over here. Okay, so it's letting me replay this. Nice. Pretty hard, actually. It's like I can see this being challenging once I don't have any protective pipe, because when he comes in from the right, he's like really fast. Oh. There we go. Oh no! Pretty challenging. Oh, gee, so I actually fell without me. I'm not very good at this. Okay. So, let's see. Game over. Let me try this one more time. Actually kind of an addicting game. Oh, sweet. Oh, cool. Okay. Oh, man. Okay, so you can go to, like, different... I'm gonna go back in the house. Ah! I went to we had a friend's birthday at a lake house, and there was an arcade in the basement, and oh, man. It's really challenging. I'm just gonna start hitting them both at the same time. So... and they had like a retro arcade in the basement. It had a classic pinball machine. It had like Burger Time. It had a multi-game console, and then it had like Pac-Man, all that stuff. And the guy who invited us, he took the glass off of the pinball machine, and he was just like tapping the he was tapping the one of the point buttons, and then I think he said he was going to post it to Reddit as like a high score, but all he did was take the glass off, and he basically like, you know, cheated. And I was a little let down because I was like, you know, I thought some of these pictures people are showing on Reddit are just BS. But he said he ended up saying he didn't do it because I guess he forgot or got lazy, whatever. It's like, already sounded kind of lazy as it was, but I thought that was kind of cool because the arcade in the basement had, you know, it's just something to do. So we were already doing stuff as a group, and then, you know, you could disappear downstairs and just play some games for a little bit. Burger Time's actually pretty fun. This is a sweet spot when you're hitting these things. Oh, man, this is a hard game. See, you know, it bounces and then it goes into a spot where you can't hit. I'm not really sure how to... Okay. So... let's do this again. So this is a quick... very quick... wait for it. Okay. There we go. So now I get to go to the next one. I wanted to go to Boo's house. I'm gonna try a different level. Is this where I just was? Oh, that's unfortunate. Kinda, I wish it told me that. I don't want to be here again. Let's get out of here. What do you say, people? Ah! This is fun though. This is a fun game. Alright, so I will go here. Okay, cool, new level. Nice. But one of my friends was sleeping in one of the rooms downstairs, and he kept hearing like arcade noises, and so the next day he was like, "Drew, why were you playing games all night?" And I was like, "Dude, I wasn't playing anything, I was sleeping." And then he realized that, like, you know, the games had the intro music, and it, you know, kind of when you walk into an arcade and you hear the ambient music just playing because the games are cycling like the introductions or the sample play. So he was, "Oh, I didn't know that." I said, "Yeah, if you really wanted to sleep, you could unplug it." Because there were like 2 to 4 pretty loud arcade games in there. It's really cool. You know, if somebody has... there's a lot of decently priced cabinets out there. If, you know, if you're interested in playing, you know, retro style, not on your computer, like using, what is it, you know, emulators, or playing on your TV, there's a lot of different cabinets out there. Some people are actually really good at building them, so I've never done that myself, but that's a pretty neat skill to have. Just a nice little thing to, you know, be able to put cabinets up that you build. But there's also the Raspberry Pi technology where people, you know, my brother built a retro console, like a tiny one, and he was playing N64 on it. This was a couple years ago. Oh, sweet. Okay. Probably need an extra life, to be honest. Okay. So, but the Raspberry Pi is just like a mini computer. I actually have one, I just haven't programmed it yet. Got it for like $70-something, and there was a guy in Ohio that I was talking to at an illustration group, and he The group was called Drink and Draw, actually. So what it was basically a it was a group where you would illustrate and then you would try a local brew in the Midwest. And he had his family had like a pizza place, and it's called Flyers Pizza. And he built the point of sale devices. So maybe if I stop hitting them both at the same time, it'll make it a little bit easier. So he built point of sale devices out of his Raspberry Pi technology, and so I guess they had a couple locations, so he built like 5 to 10 computers. And I asked him about it, and he went, just Google it, and I was like, alright, D-bag. You know, I get it, you know, you don't want to explain it to me, but there's a lot of stuff you can do with the Raspberry Pi, including putting your retro library on there, games you want to play, and you can basically customize these things. Alright, so I'll try this level even though I don't like desert levels. Okay, well I kind of like those enemies. There we go. Oh! I hit the wrong one, that's new. Yeah, I thought it was funny. He was like, just Google it. It's like, dude, it's just funny when people aren't really feeling a conversation, or they don't really tell you that they're like, oh, I hate you. They just say stuff, passive aggressive stuff. You just like have to pick up on that. But anyway, like I said, you can actually, I think you can actually build like a computer out of those things. Now, it only handles so much in terms of like throughput, but you can totally do a lot with that technology. And obviously, this conversation we're talking about video game consoles and whatnot. So, alright, there we go. How do I get out of here? I don't want to die. Oh my gosh. Can I get through the doors, or do I have to kill the enemies again? Oh, man. Okay. So, like I said before, this is the Game Boy Advanced, and I actually never had a Game Boy Advance. I think I had a friend that had one, and he used to play Pokemon all the time. This is a long time ago. Unfortunately, we don't. Oh, dude. But I'm not a huge Pokemon person. I may give it a shot at some point, but definitely not like my first choice. So I always kind of looked at, every time I saw the Game Boy Advance, I was like, oh, it's just Pokemon. It really isn't. There's a lot of games. There we go. There are a lot of games on, Game Boy Advance, and so I'm kind of discovering that now, and this channel's helping me decide on what to play here. Wow, it's like getting a bit challenging. The challenge is escalating very quickly. Oh. Alright, so yeah, let me see, is there a level I haven't tried yet? I gotta start here again. What's that thing flying around? Goombas always remind me of the Super Mario movie. People really didn't like that movie. The one in '92 with Bob Hoskins and I forget his name, but John Leguizamo. I really enjoyed that movie, and it was, I mean, it was kind of stupid, and it didn't make sense in a lot of ways, but every time I see the Goombas, I think of like the de-evolve array that, or machine that Koopa had, where he would convert, you know, people into really stupid, loyal slaves. And I thought that was a really fascinating, creative way to portray the Goombas. And it made sense because they were trying to use people to fulfill that role, and obviously, like, probably didn't have a budget for computer animation or whatnot, so, because you figure, like, Goombas are giant, they're like little monsters that are very short. So the only way to do that is to either animate it or use computer. So you figure they were like, oh, well, how do we use people for this? And I thought that was a really creative solution, but then people just eviscerated it and thought it was so weird. So, but anytime I see Goombas, I think of that, and like when they de-evolved Toad into a Goomba, and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. So anything can become a Goomba. Maybe Goombas in the game are like some of Koopa's extended family that failed him. You know, it really opens a lot of ideas, but then never really went anywhere, and everybody just didn't like the movie. So obviously that meant they're not going to do a second one, and then Nintendo was so scared after that movie bombed that they just didn't, they don't capitalize on films, really. I mean, there's stuff that comes out, but it's very, very seldom compared to what it could have been. I kind of wonder how that would have been different if the movie did well instead of just as bad as it did. Anyway, that's a long way of saying Goombas are compelling creatures. I'll get that thing. Alright, so I got some coins. No. I want to go up that road. Oh, there we go. Sweet. Ooh. Yeah, still. My grandpa always liked playing solitaire on his computer. Like every time I'd see his office that he never let me go into when I was a kid, he'd have solitaire open. I wonder if he likes pinball too. My grandpa's like a late 80s, so he's basically a golden era child of the golden generation, and he really likes Sudoku right now. But I would guess that, you know, if you put pinball in front of him, he'd probably like it. So Grandpa, I hope you're doing well. Maybe I can get you on a recording session at some point. Yeah, so I started going into this channel. I'm actually doing not that bad now. I started this channel because of COVID, and I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. I'm really enjoying this. Just exploring different games and meeting people. So I'm starting to get a bit of a following. Not a following, but like I'm getting consistent reviewers and people who are basically like commenting on most of my content, which is pretty cool. And then the people that, you know, kind of come out and they comment on things randomly, it's usually pretty positive. So when I first started, it was like just negative, and I almost wanted to like not do the channel, but then once you have to be patient, and then once you get some consistent subs, and you know, you put content out and people watch it, people will start to actually contribute in a meaningful way, and it really makes it a fun hobby. But when you just start out, it's tough. And I'm actually really enjoying this game, so I might actually, if it's game over, I'm gonna play again. You know, when I post comments, I try to, oh, I like this level. when I post comments, I try to be helpful, or I try to be constructive, but then sometimes, you know, you get trolls, and trolls are really an unfortunate byproduct of the internet. It's just people who like to goof around, and it's funny because I was watching Boogie, I forget his whole screen name, but he's got like a vlog, he's a big guy from Arkansas, and he was saying that he's like a professional troll, and at least he admitted it, but he would go to like Christian message boards and put just really not nice stuff on there, and okay, first off, wouldn't want to do that because it's just not nice to, it really isn't nice to not respect somebody's religion, but at the same time, he admitted he was just goofing around, and that was just one example. Like, he's done a lot of other stuff on like 4chan and stuff, and oh man, 4chan is not something I go on, but anyway, he was like, yeah, I just like to troll people, and and he did it in his 30s too, he wasn't even like a young guy. So anyway, trolls are, unfortunately, on the internet, and you just have to be careful and just not, you know, if it's somebody who just doesn't like your stuff, they have a right to not like your stuff, but they don't have a right to just be a nasty person, so just keep that in mind. Just ignore it and keep doing what you're doing. Don't let, oh man, don't let that take you away. So especially the animation and stuff, like I mentioned, I like the animation. I've had people really rip apart some of the stuff I'm working on, and I think about it and I'm like, okay, well, I can completely go back to the drawing board to please this one person and get better, or I can just try to do that next time and just keep going with what I have, and then have like a slow release of increase in skill, while not wasting my entire life editing stuff, right? 'Cause you can be stuck on the drawing board forever. So content, releasing content, especially if you're a single channel owner like myself, you can't really get stuck in pre and post production forever, because otherwise you just never put anything out. But yeah, overly harsh critics. I mean, one thing, it's good because it self-improves. Like you get better and better and better and better, and harsh critics are your best advocate for that. But it's also, you also have to factor in that if people are overly critical and expect you to be a, you know, a Don Bluth level animator, that's not going to happen. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. I mean, Don Bluth was amazing, and he still failed at a lot of ways of being a consistent producer, and, you know, like getting big box office hits and all that stuff. He had some really good movies, but then, you know, with like Titan AE, that did not do well at all, and that was partially because 3D animation was so big. And I actually kind of want to do a review on that now, but you know, and then going into gaming, you have a lot of different channels out there, and what really sets them apart is how much fun it is to watch, or, you know, how much fun it is to just engage with the channel. So I try to put different content out, but at the same time, sometimes I just don't really have anything to put out other than just playing a different game that I haven't played before, or some of the more boring content that I do, it's revisiting a game I've already played. And you know, so that replay value, oh man, so that replay value is hopefully there, unless it's a Bugs Bunny game. Those games are just kind of terrible. That or Bugsy, I don't really like Bugsy really much either. But you have to, oh man, you have to do what you enjoy with this stuff too. So that's another thing. If you don't enjoy what you're producing and you're just kind of doing it for views, then you may get views, but you're gonna have a real hard time figuring out what to do next. And Most of us don't get paid hardly anything. I haven't gotten anything off of YouTube, so that being said, YouTube stars, they do make money, but you really need to factor in, you need to enjoy what oh no, I'm stuck? Oh, there we go. Okay. You have to enjoy what you're doing, or you're not going to update as much. So, I had somebody tell me that it was actually, Tig from the Attic Dwellers. He was like, dude, he's like, you got, good luck with the YouTube channel, you gotta really enjoy what you're doing, otherwise it's not really worth it. So, I totally agree with him. Okay. Alright, I just need to figure out a way to get in. It's tough. Tig's pretty cool, so he did a road trip recently to the Grand Canyon from New Jersey. I'll try one more time. And I was kind of following that trip, so he hadn't done that before, and he posted a bunch of videos, or a bunch of images of his trip, because you can do that when you have like 10,000 subs, between 5 and 10,000 subs, something like that. And I started contributing, and then I sent him an email, and he responded, so that was kind of cool. So he was just like, yeah, I run all the website stuff, and his friend Eric that runs the channel with him, Eric actually has all the equipment like in his attic at his house. So, but yeah, he was basically saying like, you really need to enjoy this, because there's something like a good idea for YouTube is this is just my 2 cents. A good idea for YouTube is to put up stuff that's consistent to an idea, so that you can possibly get monetized, that you already do. So if you're like if you like to play video games like this, or you enjoy reading comics, you enjoy illustrating, figure out a way to encapsulate that on a video or social media or something, for YouTube. But Instagram, you can do just about everything. But figure out a way to put that on YouTube, and then all you need to do is update your progress, and then people will start following you if they think it's cool. Which there's an audience for almost everything out there. I had somebody message me. No, they commented on one of my videos. They were like, so I do retro content reviews sometimes, like depending on how much time I have. And he was just like, I don't get why people do game reviews. It's so stupid. And I get why he would say that, because I used to be in the same boat. I used to think, well, why would somebody want to watch somebody else play a video game? But sometimes, if you're at the doctor's office and you've got your YouTube open, and then a video pops up and it's like, I never played that, and you don't have the system, like the console, so you probably would never play it, and you probably wouldn't even hear about it. So in that case, I think it's really cool that people do gameplay. And then also, there's a Cyberpunk game that came out recently, and then to think of one that I've played is like Dark Souls or Demon Souls. I had a friend over, and we were just like watching certain bosses in Dark Souls, because that is such a hard game, and I essentially gave up. And my friend was like, oh, here, let me show you. And so he pulled it up on YouTube, and it was like some guy just dying 1,000 times trying to beat this level. So I thought that was really cool, because it kind of shows you sometimes it's like a strategy guide, and then you have casual gameplays, kind of like mine, but I removed the comments, and I was like, that's really not constructive, man. People, there's a lot of people out there that like this kind of stuff. Just because you don't enjoy it does not mean that other people don't. So, not helpful. And that being said, the comment section, I leave it open because I like, first off, I don't need it for people to say, this is awesome, or good job. It does help because it helps me realize that people like it. But ideas are really what the comment section helps with. So if somebody's like, oh yeah, have you thought about doing this? Like somebody mentioned they wanted me to do a Castlevania review and I just haven't done it yet. And I feel kind of bad because they probably forgot they asked me to review it, but that's the other thing. I have so many ideas that I'm really slow to pick up on recommendations, so please don't take offense to that. But anyway, the comments, like, I don't have such a big ego that I really necessarily care. I appreciate it, but I'm not so much worried about, oh hey, this is a great video, or you do good stuff, and the nice stuff is great, but I really appreciate like the ideas or the recommendations, or hey, can you do this, or do you remember, or like when people actually say like, hey, do you remember this console, and then you have like a throwback moment. That's kind of cool. Or if they say, hey, have you ever tried this console, like I'm gonna plug Underwater Levels again, because he brought up the IIG Apple games that were out there, and I actually want to investigate those because I played Frogger the other day. I think it was on Game Boy Advance as well, Frogger 2, and he mentioned, oh yeah, that's there's a game called Violence something, and it's actually really disturbing, but it's totally like Frogger. In fact, I think they may have just programmed the same game and then just added like babies crawling across the road, which is a very alarming idea, but at the same time, it was apparently very popular in certain circles. And I just never played it, probably because I grew up in a pretty strict household, and so my mom was like, yeah, that's too violent. So, since now that I'm an adult, I'm a little bit more liberal with my my outlook on what's violent and what isn't. Like some things, it's like, no, you can't watch let your family watch this. But other things, it's like, well, let's just chill out a little bit, Just we just have to practice good family dynamics, and it won't really be a problem. Because I had friends as a kid that they could only watch rated G movies, and they couldn't watch anything where people kissed unless they were married, and that was interesting because I could never find anything to watch at their house. To each his own, but all they had were like 1960s movies and like the Three Stooges and stuff. No, Three Stooges I could watch all. No, it wasn't that. It was it was the Three Stooges. So that's where I got really into the Three Stooges, because that's like the only box set that they had that was really hilarious. So, but anyway, the comments are really helpful, and then I've seen comments on various areas. So like Instagram is more some people will message you about content on DM, and then sometimes like when you post something, they'll say, oh, that's cool, that's neat, I've done that too. It's not so much like helpful. So YouTube, people will actually say things that are really good ideas. Instagram is more topical. It isn't as in-depth, but it's more positive, if that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so anyway. Yeah, but Underwater Levels is he's in my comment section a lot. He is starting his channel, so be on the lookout for content. He's pretty knowledgeable about retro gaming and really fun to talk to. Really nice guy, and he lives up in the Northeast US. He's told me an interesting story the other day that he was on a submarine and brought his when with the Navy, and he brought his a bunch of old gaming consoles, which is really cool because I had thought that when you're on a sub, like, you have no space, so how are you going to play? Because people are just going to be all up in your business all the time. But, you know, that's pretty cool. That's smart too, because you need an outlet, and it doesn't matter what you do, you need an outlet. So I thought that was a really cool story, and I appreciated it, and it really contributed to the video. So I think I posted like Mario 2 off of the Mario Advance game that was released in 2001, and then that story came up, and I really enjoyed that. So I actually was assigned to an aircraft carrier at one point, and I didn't bring anything. So I had a couple roommates, and as we did that 2 deployments, man, I don't want to do those again, I'll tell you what. But anyway, so we did 2 deployments, and as the deployments went on, I had like 3 guys in my room that I had a 4-person room. I had 3 guys in my room that were like lifers, so they were going to be in the the military forever. And as the cruise went on, they got more and more. One of them was cool. He was really relaxed. He didn't really care, but he was like the one that had been in the longest too. But the other 2, they got more and more nasty as time went on, and it was just impossible to just like be comfortable around them. So to have an outlet would have been great. The only movie that they played was oh cool, this is new. Was Groundhog's Day with Bill Murray. And they played it on repeat, and I was like, that is just not human treatment. So they ruined one of my favorite movies, and it was like several months Groundhog's Day was on repeat. And I loved that movie, and I never sat down and watched it. So what I would do is I would just like brush my teeth, or I would change, and I would just have it on. And I watched the movie probably 10 times. That's how often they played it. It's really inhumane to the movie and the person watching. So then I called the media department and was like, guys, you need to change it. And they went, okay, well, what would you like? And I said something with Bill Murray is okay, just not this. And then they put on Ghostbusters, and they repeated that for a couple months. And I was like, you guys, you have like one DVD over there. So then we did a swim call over the side of the ship in like, the Middle East or something, and they played Jaws 1 the entire time people were getting ready to go swimming in the ocean. And so like I turned on the TV to get my swim trunk, and it was the part where Jaws was like ripping in half the sea captain, and he was screaming, and there's like blood everywhere. And so I and then the guy I went swimming with had trouble swimming. He was a really cautious swimmer, and he said that he turned the TV on and that same scene was playing, and so he was just like, oh man, I almost didn't want to do this. And so I said, well, so somebody had, like, people have really dark senses of humor in the military, and it's actually really funny that when you look back at the time, it's not funny at all. It's actually kind of really stressful, but that was, to me, was really unfortunate and funny at the same time. That, because you figure playing Groundhog's Day repeatedly like that, it's got its like really strong sense of irony, because you're in Groundhog's Day, you're doing the same thing every day. So we would have like stock replenishment briefs before we had like got new supplies at sea, and they would brief the same crap every time. So how is that not Groundhog's Day? It's like you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. So anyway, alright, so this game was pretty fun. I wonder how long I played. Do I have any more? Okay, cool, so I have another level. I'm actually not doing that bad this time. It's one of those games where you don't really want to save it, you just keep going. So now I kind of want to play Sonic Spinball. This shy guy's gonna eat it if he's not careful. Yeah, but underwater levels, hopefully you had a cool roommate that didn't bother you while you played Zelda 2. That's a cool one. That's another one I want to play, Zelda 2. Yeah, I really like the suggestions. So that stuff's cool. And a lot of times when people suggest, they're really, really nice. You know, life is too challenging. We all gotta be nice to each other. Reddit's really helpful too, and I was gonna do a social media post, but sometimes the comments are just like, go kill yourself, and or you're just trying to get views, and it's like, well, okay, so I legitimately started a discussion because I wanted to talk about this subject, but I happened to post like a YouTube video in case somebody isn't familiar with the game. And people hate YouTube on Reddit. They want you to like upload the video directly, which is, I think, is kind of stupid, because then if you upload it directly, it doesn't do anybody any favors. I mean, if you have a YouTube channel, you might as well push it, right? So, but they also have, like most sites, they either block YouTube completely, or they only allow 1 out of every 10 of your posts to actually have YouTube links. So I get that, but it's just, you know, it's like, I'm sorry that you've got people spamming on there, but yeah, but then otherwise, you know, you typically get pretty helpful responses. Like I got some awesome feedback from the TurboGrafx 16 board. I just played my first TurboGrafx game the other day. It was Slaughterhouse, and I had seen that in the arcade, and Underwater Levels again mentioned that the arcade port, or I'm sorry, the TurboGrafx 16 port was different from the arcade port because they changed the mask, and they didn't really explain why. It had to do something with the rights. So the mask is like purple, and it kind of looks like a floating mask from Mario 2. And I noticed it too. I didn't even, you know, see that comment yet. I noticed that it looked kind of weird. I was like, that's kind of a weird mask. But I didn't really notice because I was too busy splattering ghouls and inciting violence in the game, which is really interesting. But you know, you get some of these comments that are really cool, and the TurboGrafx, a lot of people offer games, and they were like, welcome to the club, you know, and it was a small group. It's like 3,000 followers, whereas you go to like NES, which has more of a cult following, and NES has just not quite Atari level purism, but they're pretty specific about, oh, we don't want to see this stuff, and whatnot. So you have to be careful when you go on Reddit. Reddit's a really good site though for information if you ask the right question, if you don't piss somebody off. And sometimes you get people who just like won't leave you alone. So the nice thing is, if you have a troll on there, and I didn't realize this when I first started, I just got into a new room, you can downvote them. So if they're trying to pick a fight with you, just downvote the crap out of them, and they should leave you alone. I forget the guy's name, but there was one guy that was like on an AVGN subreddit, and he didn't like YouTube, and so he kept sending me notes, and I was like, dude, I literally was like, if I stop responding, will you quit? And then he just said something like completely debaggy, and I left the room like pissed off, and I should have downvoted him, but I didn't really, I was new to Reddit, I didn't really know you could do that. But then somebody was like, don't worry about him, he's got anger issues. So he was like well known on there. I thought that was they're pretty funny, but it's just unfortunate because it's like, I'm not trying to be mean, but how sad is that you have so little going on in life that you just like angrily post against people on social media. consistently. Now I get it, like, oh, you know, I have serious issues with this post. I don't agree with this. That's totally fair. That's great. I had somebody say that one of my videos was like overly harsh, and I'm sure it was, because that adds to the satire. But you just have to be, you have to consider that people are, some people are just out there to make other people just miserable, and you can't let that happen. So use Reddit for what it's worth. Just, it's a good information source, and it's good for sharing stuff that you like to share, you know. But yeah, Facebook has, what is their downvote? It's like thumbs down. They did that, and then YouTube has the thumbs down. I always think it's funny when somebody thumbs down. They give you a thumbs down, and you're just like, I wonder why they didn't like this. Sometimes people will do that just because they don't like what you posted. They're like, oh, I hated that movie. I don't want to talk about it. Or they didn't like the game in this case, or maybe they're like, they don't like what you talk about, or, you know, it's hard to tell. So, but with this game, like I was saying, I'm starting to get kind of good at this, and I came into this game completely cold like usual, but this game, pinball is a ton of fun for some people. For me, I take it or leave it, but I have to admit at this point it's pretty addicting. And I like how the enemies can't kill you. They can only bump you around, so you can really stay here for a long time. Okay, well, can I pop up? Oh, I could. Okay, so I popped up on one in the ship again. Okay, so he can like push me around. Yeah, so social media has retaliation tools. If you get trollish remarks, you can remove, block, downvote, or thumbs down. I don't know, typically, unfortunately with comments, the majority of the ones I get are really nice and helpful, but you've got a couple where you just have to remove them. If it's like really nasty, a lot of cursing, YouTube will typically pick it up. They'll flag it for review, and then sometimes they'll get stuff that's flagged for review that actually is something that I wanted to keep on my comments, so then I'll accept it, and then it shows up again. So there's a little bit of a glitch going on, but at the same time, typically it works. Okay, so I've been in this level for a while. I'm getting so good I'm not dying. Oh, there we go. Oh, I just died. Spoke too soon. How'd I do? Ooh, I did pretty good that time. Oh, okay, game over. So I think I'm done, but you know, check it out if you want. It's basically a pinball game. It's, you know, pretty cool. So let's go quit here. Yes. Whoa, 10 million. Wow, people are really good. Okay, so it's Super Mario Ball. So, you know, check it out if you want. And 2004 Game Boy Advanced. But anyway, thanks for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, and share. And take care.